We're talking today with Brother Alan Hires about debate, and what I've invited him to do is to come and sit for just a little while and tell stories about debate and the debates he's had. Now, Brother Hires, what I want to know is this. You said earlier that you didn't have any kind of personal animosity against these men with whom you contended in debate. The question I want to know the answer to is, did you become friends with any of them? Did you have relationship with them later after debates?
Well, that's an interesting question. I remember I actually had two debates with L.H. Brown. My first debate that I ever had, public discussion, was at a little place called Poplar Springs. And then later I had another debate with Mr. Brown at a place called Yuma. All of these are in Carroll County. And I remember seeing Mr. Brown one time in Memphis. Just happened to see him in a crowd of people. And he spoke to me and he said, "Are you lost?" And I said, "Well, if I were, I wouldn't ask you." So we did have a friendly relationship. Yeah, he laughed about it. We had a good relationship, a friendly relationship, and there was never any bitterness or animosity. In fact, I never had that in any debate I was ever in. I was looking here a little earlier. There was a debater up in Kentucky. He had probably 25 or 30 debates, and he was a very able debater. Well, I had a debate with him, and again, there was no personal animosity at all, but that came out to me particularly because he wrote his autobiography. And part of his autobiography was about the debates he had had. And he listed everyone he had ever debated. As I say, had about 30 names on there of people that he had debated. And he made comments about each one of them. Some man was weak in debate, or some man was ugly in debate, or whatever. But the number one name that he listed in that discussion was Alan Hires. And the comment he made out by the side of that is, "Best debater I ever met."
Well, from your opponent, that's a nice compliment, isn't it?
And he sent me a copy of his autobiography, and in the front of it he wrote, "To my friend, Alan Hires."
I don't think people think like that in thinking about debates. I think of history. I think that the people just assume that you must have two men like prize fighters who are just itching to get at the other in a way that's negative, but that really wasn't what it was about, at least not in the debates you're talking about.
No, I think you're exactly right. And this is not only true in my personal experience, but I've read about debates between opponents in years gone by, back in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, and they engaged in debate, and yet they had a respect for each other. So people are mistaken when they think that a debate is a scrap or a fight. It is a discussion of scriptural principles in which they believe, and they differ on some very fundamental issue, and they engage in the debate, and the points can be brought out and studied. Very helpful.
It's further illustrated by the fact that it wasn't so terribly uncommon for a debater or for a pair of debaters to debate and then sometime later debate again or again and again on the same subject. And so that to me is just fascinating, and they could debate, I suppose, and then go have supper together. It wasn't that they didn't really believe what they were debating. They believed their positions, but it wasn't about animosity.
Right. Well, I don't remember ever having supper with an opponent, but I can remember very friendly, cordial relationships.
Who was your favorite one? Who did you think was the most challenging man you debated?
That's difficult to answer. I had the privilege of debating two of the most experienced Baptist debaters. The greatest Baptist debater of all time was a man named Ben Bogard. And he debated N.B. Hardeman, G.C. Brewer, J.D. Tant. Some of the best-known debaters that ever lived debated Ben M. Bogard. Well, Bogard was a little before my time, so I never had a debate with Ben Bogard, but I had a debate with two different men that he trained. And one of the men that Bogard trained supposedly was his own choice to succeed him as a debater. And this man's name was Hoyt Chastain. When I was a student at Freed-Hardeman, we heard that there was going to be a debate in Saxton, Missouri. And several of us students drove up there one night to hear that debate. Guy N. Woods and Hoyt Chastain. When a student hears a debate like that, it never occurs to you that you someday will be debating the same individual. But I heard Guy N. Woods and Hoyt Chastain when I was just a student, and in later years, in Pascagoula, Mississippi, I had a debate with Hoyt Chastain. And here is a debate book that's quite rare. The Pinnick-Bogard Debate. I.N. Pinnick was a professor at Union University in Jackson, Tennessee.
Methodist University.
No, it's Baptist.
Baptist University.
But there's a building there now that's called the Pinnick Building, named after this man. But this is a debate not between Churches of Christ and the Baptists. This is between two Baptists. This is the Pinnick-Bogard debate. Pinnick believed in what they call convention Baptists. Bogard believed in what they called association Baptists. And without trying to go into a full discussion of it, I would simply say that these were two different organizations that they belonged to. And Bogard believed in one type, Pinnick in the other. But at any rate, this is a debate between two Baptists, Pinnick and Bogard. This was given to me by a friend of mine, Joe Johnson, who was a collector of rare books. And when he sold his collection of books, he pulled this one out and sent it to me as a gift. And the interesting thing to me is, inside this book, it is signed Hoyt Chastain. So this was from Chastain's library. And it's fascinating to me since I debated Chastain.
Great piece of history, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And a very rare book, and one that was helpful to me to be able to have and to hold. I've tried to take good care of it.